Scandinavian Bob here, hi. I often get asked the question, what does porn addiction mean in terms of the amount of porn I watch? If I watch X number of hours a month, does that mean I'm addicted? Well, here's the deal, guys. Assessing addiction goes beyond measuring the amount of use. This is because even though addiction generally means that people start escalating and using more and more, some people can still be addicted and not use that much. And vice versa. Some people can use quite a lot and not have a real addiction. I mean, just think about it. Let's say we have John here, who is a porn addict, and he has been trying to quit for 5 years now, and he has started to do better. And so the last 6 months he has only had 7 relapses. Then one day he happens to mention to his friend that he's trying to give up porn because, he has struggled a bit with addiction to it. And so his friend says, how much have you watched the last 6 months? And John says, I don't know, maybe about 7 times or so. And his friend goes, dude, only 7 times in 6 months. You're clearly not addicted. But this is not true because John has been trying so hard to completely quit, and it is precisely because of the fact that he is addicted that he still relapses. So to assess an addiction, experts often use what they call the 4 C's, and they are cravings, compulsion, control, continued use despite negative consequences. Okay, so I don't think I need to explain cravings to anyone. Compulsion is perhaps a bit more unclear, but in short, one could say that compulsion is a pathological pursuit of relief. It's like you feel that it is not good right now, and so you just have to have something right now. Control obviously means a loss of control over your use. And then continued use despite negative consequences is perhaps the strongest indicators of an addiction. I mean, you have probably all heard about, for example, gambling addicts who have used up all their partner's money and perhaps gambled away their child's education money, even though they love their child. And so, they clearly know, but they have lost control over their use, and they continue to do it in spite of all those negative consequences. So again, we can't use the sheer amount to assess an addiction. And I mean, you have all heard about, for example, some guys who can drink quite a lot of alcohol recreationally without being addicted to it, and who would have no problem taking a break from it if they so decided. It's the same thing with porn. Some people can use it quite often without running into any trouble, and some get into trouble even with modest use. For example, I never watched porn more than once or twice a week myself, not even in the midst of my deepest addiction. But my addiction still escalated in terms of the length of my sessions, and I did develop a severely desensitized dopamine system and got affected by all kinds of negative symptoms, such as, for example, mild PIED, just to name one example. And here's the real kicker. After I found out that my sluggish boners were caused by my porn use, I of course tried to put an end to my use right away, but I could not do it, even though I knew porn was killing my libido. I kept relapsing for 7 years. In other words, that was continued use despite negative consequences and also loss of control. And yes, when I went a couple of weeks without the adult site, I started experiencing cravings and compulsion as well. Okay, so I hope you now understand that we can't really use the amount alone if we want to know whether we have an addiction or not. If you need help with ending your relapses, then you can read about my 4-step porn crushing system using the link below. And if you're interested in discovering a bit more about my backstory of just how addicted I was, how I figured out the concept of said system, and finally overcame my addiction, then you can take a look at this video right here and you will see exactly what I mean.